Hello everybody and welcome to this, my first of two videos on the Canon AL-1, a very interesting camera that took me a long time to get a working copy of because the battery doors on these are a huge weakness. So the Canon AL-1 is a 35mm interchangeable lens SLR. Now what that means is that it uses any 35mm film. The lenses can be taken off and put back on at any time when a photo isn't being taken, and the rest of the film will not be ruined. And it is a single lens reflex, which means it has a single lens through which the light passes to reach the reflex mirror that bounces the light up to the prism housing and out to the viewfinder. That's the reflex system until the image is taken. It has a center-weighted meter, meaning that the area approximately inside my fingers here provides about 70% of the metering data used by the camera's meter. It has shutter speeds of 1/25th of a second to 1/15th of a second to 1/1000th of a second, as well as bulb and automatic. So your manual shutter speeds are somewhat limited to a 15th up to 1,000th, just like that. And then automatic mode there will allow the computer to select any shutter speed. It has 0.87x viewfinder magnification and 92% vertical with 93% horizontal frame coverage. Now what that means is that when you look through the viewfinder, what you see is about 87% of the size of what will be on the film. What the frame coverage means is, let's say that what you're looking at right now is going to be on your film. The 92% vertical means that about 4% top and bottom, or some mixture of 8%, will be on the film but not in the viewfinder. And 93% means around 3.5% on each side will be on the film but not in the viewfinder. And that gives you a little bit of ability to crop in post. So that's a nice, it's better to have that than to see more than what's on the film. This comes with a fixed focusing screen that is specific to the Canon AL-1 and only ever came with the AL-1. And the flash sync on this camera is 1/60th of a second, which we know because there's a little flash lightning bolt next to the 60th of a second shutter speed on this camera. So if you are going to use a flash, we'll talk a little bit more about that in video 2. You just have to make sure you're manually set to 1/60th. The Canon AL-1 was targeted at the entry to low-end user, which I know is a weird thing to say because this has the focus confirm function, and it's the only A-series camera that did. However, we know that it is an entry to mid-level, an entry to low-end camera because it lacks a lot of features, has a very limited shutter speed setting, and at the time, focus confirmation was viewed by the photographic community as something for amateurs and beginners. So this was intended as a learner's camera to help people learn how to focus properly with the focus confirmation aid. And the QF system on it uses 3 linear array contrast detecting CCDs. And those are the great grandpas of modern autofocus system technology. This was made by Canon in Japan from 1982 to 1986. It was preceded by nothing directly that I could find, but it is a lot like the AV-1, which was released 3 years before this model. In that this is really, the AV-1 was a camera that was geared at aperture priority shooting. This is also geared at aperture priority shooting, but adds some manual speeds as well. It was concurrent with the F1, F1 new, AE1, AE1 program, AV1, and AT1, and it was followed by nothing directly, but the focus confirm technology was the foundation for the EOS system's autofocus technology. So as we do, let's go through this camera and all of the different features and functions on it. We'll start here on the top, though, technically the front with the strap lugs. This is what you would connect your camera strap to. Here we have the film rewind knob and lever with ISO dial. ASA and ISO are the exact same thing. and this is your ASA ISO release. So to adjust your film's speed, what you do is you push this silver button down and then you just rotate this dial. Mine has been used so much that some of the speeds have been erased, so that's 200. That's probably 400. At any rate, you just move this little black bit on the side to select the ISO that you want. This is the battery check button right here. This little symbol indicates where your film plane is, so you can take exact measurements for things like macro work. Flash hot shoe, shutter speed and mode selection dial, self-timer lamp. There's a switch right here underneath the shutter button that allows you to switch between self-timer, active mode, and lock. And so on your camera, if you look at the front of it, there are 3 letters, L, A, and S, and a little index right there that indicate whether your shutter button is locked, whether your camera's ready to go, or whether the self-timer will be used. Shutter button, film advance lever, frame count window for knowing how much of the film you've used, and an index to indicate which frame you are on. On the camera's front, we have the model designation, self-timer lamp, Canon logo, lens mounting index, lens mount right here, backlight control switch, which is also called the EV compensation button. Basically what happens when you use this is it increases your exposure by 2 stops. So let's say you're sitting underneath an awning and there's a bright beach in the background. What you would do is you're underneath the awning and you want to take a picture of a person across the table from you. You focus on them, you push this, the camera will give you 2 extra stops of light. So the beach will be super blown out, but the person you're taking a picture of will be properly exposed. Instead of, without pushing this, the beach would be properly exposed and you'd be taking a picture of a silhouette. On the camera's bottom, we have the motor drive electronic contacts over here. We have the tripod socket, film rewind release button, serial number, Canon Japan, the motor drive mechanical coupling here, and then the battery door right here. Inside the camera, we have the film cassette chamber. You can see here the film rewind knob and lever connect to these forks, which will connect to the film. We'll see that in video 2. Film guide rails, these top ones keep the film from moving up and down as it travels. These 2 long ones sandwich the film with a film pressure plate to keep it flat so that the light is focused properly on it. Shutter curtain, film tension sprocket right here, which keeps tension on the film so that the spring memory built into it being curled up in the cassette doesn't pull it back into the cassette. And also when you advance the film, this spins so that the film is pulled smoothly through the camera. Film take-up spool, this is what the film is taken up on when the film is used. This little roller here sandwiches right there to keep tension on the film and sprockets so that the film engages the sprockets evenly. The film pressure plate we saw. And then there's a little spring right here which engages the cassette to keep it lined up properly so that the film advances and rewinds smoothly. So one quick note on the Canon AL-1. The battery doors are very fragile. If you break yours or if you buy an AL-1 with a broken door, there's a link in the description for this video to the Butkus manual website. That link has a guide on how to make a retaining clip for these out of a paper clip. So that this one is still good, but you can, bending a paper clip a certain way, using a broken door, make a retaining clip out of that paper clip so that you can still use your camera. It's kind of a bodgy repair, but getting these now is really hard because there are way more working AL-1s than there are good battery doors. Some things not to do with your camera. Don't store your camera with the shutter ready to fire. So when you're done for the day, just press the shutter release and let it trigger, and then store your camera even overnight like that. And that basically just keeps tension off of the old mechanism in here so that it doesn't wear out more quickly. Don't touch the shutter or the mirror themselves. If you touch the shutter curtain, you can brick the camera completely. You can ruin the shutter, and that's an expensive repair. If you touch the mirror, your finger oils can tarnish or desilver it, which can affect your focus conformation, but also can affect your ability to meter and focus the lenses. Don't leave your camera or lenses in your car, because heat can cause the oils in them to get very thin, and then they'll get to places they shouldn't be, and when they get back to their correct temperature, especially if they're on the aperture, they'll cause the camera to function poorly or not at all. Likewise, extreme cold can cause those same oils to get very gummy and break down, which makes things like shutter timing not work properly. But also, it's very quick just to smash a car's window and take a camera out of it, and most people who do that are not going to look to see if this is an 80s film camera or something that's digital. They'll just break your window and take it. So taking your camera with you, even if you just go into a shop for a minute or two, is a good way to make sure that you have it when you come back out. Don't store your gear in a plastic bag or box, because water will permeate that plastic and it can cause fungus to grow on the lenses and also to grow in the covering of the camera, which is not a great smell when you hold this covering up to your nose. Don't let your Canon AL-1 get wet, because it's not weather sealed and the electronics in here will short and fail if they get wet. And just remember that your Canon AL-1 is a precision tool. It should be handled with care and respect. As long as you take care of your camera will take care of you. Thank you for watching this video. Please give me a thumbs up. That lets me know that I'm on the right track producing content which is useful and helpful to you. If you have any questions or comments, please leave those in the comments section below. I'm pretty good about checking these every couple of days and answering questions. If you have any suggestions or ideas for future videos, and if I have the technical know-how and equipment, I'm more than happy to make those. One last thing. Thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. I gotta get up, Steinbeck. I have to turn off the camera.